and then they expire horribly, wreaking havoc on the world that they rightfully see as their toy.
Alrighty. Just getting things set back up here after 5 months of absence from this game. And I remember now how much trouble I had setting up the first time, but fortunately we seem to be back in business a little earlier. Okay. Okay. A semblance of functionality here. So keep those at these, I think. So where are we? Day 7. Just give myself a minute here. A quick drink of water before I start. Alrighty. 3:31. Bachelor is, as usual, in a really, really lovely situation. I'm sure. To be honest, I can't even remember exactly where we finished. That's how long ago this was. 5 months, almost half a year. Truly ugly period of time between play sessions. Just one more adjustment here. Sorry. My streaming setup is very different from my normal, the way I normally lay out the computer. Okay, so we don't have much food left, but have some vegetables. And if we go stalking around the place, we got a lot of weapons. 0%, 0%. Switch to a 100% knife here. Okay, so basically the strategy for today is to acquire some more food, I think. Because I don't know how I let it get this bad. But we're approaching the home stretch. So we're over the halfway mark, basically. Just over the halfway mark, but over the halfway mark. So we'll just meander around for a little while and just try and recoup some of what I've evidently lost previously. So we'll see. It always really strikes me just how immersive this whole thing is. Every time, it's a combination of the actual beat of the music, but the way that there's that underlying droning sound beneath the music. I always find that immerses me really deeply because that sounds like the town itself, in some way. That's the town's atmosphere sort of layered behind the scenes, And a lot of this is an area I don't see a lot of players visit. It really is a very nice area where you can hear the dogs. What I find suspect is just how many dogs you can hear in this town, but there's only like 3 or 4 that you can actually encounter in the game. There's so many, barking dogs, howling dogs, but it's just sort of they just seem to be ghost dogs. So we don't have anything. Do we have any letters? We're disappointed to say the least. You have only one opportunity left to emerge victorious. You must submit to the Inquisitor immediately. In addition to that, we would like to remind you that although the first and foremost responsibility of the Inquisitor is to halt the outbreak no matter what it takes, we have reason to believe that her particular skill set will allow her to accomplish victory with as little collateral damage as possible. To clarify our instructions, we'd like to specify that by no matter what it takes, we mean that human casualties should not be taken into consideration. Even if every single person in the town dies, the outcome will be fully acceptable as long as the pestilence is eradicated. The town itself, however, must survive. Not even minor damage to the settlement will be condoned. The loss of the town would make everything else totally pointless. Because of this, we request the cathedral to be brought back to its original state, and the theatre to resume the staging of plays. Remember, no matter what it takes. So the powers that be have a really strict mandate, and we're going to try and follow that for now. So we're going to try and keep the town preserved, but we sort of know that, well, we can't really, because the Bachelor is a man of science, and we need to have quarantine areas and like a morgue in these kinds of places. Simply otherwise, the town would be pretty abruptly lost. Okay, yeah, just double checking that the old microphone's working. It seems to be a thing with a lot of streamers. We all have this paranoid sense that maybe our microphones aren't working, but fortunately mine seems to be actually functional. So let's see. Just gathering more and more bottles. We need as many of them as possible. That's good. How many bandages do I have? So still a lot of bandages. 2 schmouter, so that's really good. But we want to try and keep in the double digits for bandages if at all possible. Because bandages, even if you're starving to death, just wrap a bandage around yourself. You'll be fine. Bachelor's insane medical knowledge once again coming to the forefront. So there's the first mugger of the night. See if I can still take him down. Do our awkward strafe. I wonder what goes through the mugger's mind. He's like, oh damn. Why was I so slow? Or why do I insist on doing that double slash every time? It's so predictable. One more. Can't remember if there are any bins around here. We might as well go check. No. There's at least this water barrel here. So what I find really strange about the original Pathologic is sort of there was the intent to make water like a stressful resource to acquire, because there are those fountains, right, that get infected pretty early on, and that's theoretically meant to make things more difficult. But I don't really think that it does. We sort of get this, like the fact that the water barrels are freely accessible throughout the whole game and remain unpolluted is frankly, I always was kind of disappointed by that, and I'm really glad that they rectified that in the second one, where they have actually infected barrels. At least they have that one quest, don't they? That's actually with those infected barrels, and I thought that was one of the best examples, and I think the developers themselves hold it up as one of the best examples of like their philosophy towards game design, and that like not every quest is meant to be completed, right? Like completionism is not necessarily a good thing, and I think that's what sticks with a lot of people after they've finished Pathologic. Is that the game is capable of provoking thoughts not just about morality, but about the meta nature of a lot of what video games ask you to do. And you sort of, after you've played Pathologic, do you really go back and look at the like 50 million side quests in an Assassin's Creed game the same way? Regardless of whatever harm or non-harm that the game alleges that you're doing in those side quests, there's sort of Pathologic just sort of exposes the mundanity and the needlessness of a lot of those quests. Like I knew. I like to think that I knew anyway when I was playing that quest in Pathologic 2 with the diseased barrel, right? I was like, this seems like a really bad idea, but I want to do it all, right? I want to see it all. And it turns out that doing it all and seeing it all is actually a really negative thing, and that's something that before these two games, these were the two games that exposed me in some way to a more literary style of game, like a real meta game. Because before that, I'd seen all games as being vehicles of power fantasies in some way or another. Like some of them might be harder than others, but in the end, like regardless of how hard your game is, it might still be about slaying monsters and saving the world and whatnot. And Pathologic, that was the first game I'd ever personally played that really challenged that perception of the world, and of how video games can be constructed. Not how they should be, but how they can be. There's real potential, and I sort of do wonder what the world would
Don't
look
tell me
like.
that's not what you were expecting.
What can I do for you? I need the infection map. 1000, thank you. So today, what a pain. A lot of infected areas in the middle, and you can bet that we're going to have to go through these areas a lot. What else? Yeah, what was I saying? The idea that... Damn, I had it just a second ago. Yeah, I wonder what would have happened if video games had taken more of an inspiration from Pathologic at the time. But I mean, it was admittedly like it was such an obscure title in the West, as well as with that unfortunate English translation that sort of made the game seem even more dreamlike. I hesitate to say the word zany, but I guess it really did give it a wild feel, a really kind of unnatural feel, and that's not a bad thing either. But because I know a lot of people, at least before the release of Classic HD, there were actually quite a few people who were worried about the integrity of the original game's mood, because that it adds a lot to the mood, right? If we're being told all this esoteric junk by these like weird philosophers. Don't steal my kill. He's mine. Got him. I like how... Oh, damn, they got him. I like how the community has sort of accepted on that particular song as well as a bit of a touchstone for the combat. I guess because it is the largest and probably most traversed district in the game, because you have to travel through it to get to other places. But I find it interesting, what people really remember, or what's instinctual to them, just from playing a random game, and picking up those kinds of things from it. And you can sort of tell at this point that the town really is collapsing. I think on a first playthrough, obviously, it's much more effective, simply because you are also in a similar state of utter like decrepitude. Like you're probably devoid of money. You have no food, barely any ammo. Your knives are probably all blunt and rusted. All these kinds of things. And that also adds to the mood. Like that's why people remember their first playthrough the most strongly, right? Because at that point you don't know how the mechanics work. You don't know how to sort of game the system. And when that's happening, of course, since you're doing that, since you don't know anything about it, you naturally follow the progression path of the town. Like it's designed. The game is really tightly designed in that way, and I think a lot of people forget that in subsequent playthroughs, simply because you can really easily cheese this one. I mean, if you know what you're doing, look, I've got 33,500 coins in my back pocket. So the Bachelor shouldn't be making clomp 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 sounds. He should be just jingle jangling his way down the street. Okay, so I mean the prices aren't like flash, but we have that money to spare, right? So I think cheaper than they have been, but you also notice it's the economy. that elevates the game too for a lot of people, simply because it actually simulates a genuinely hostile environment through the fluctuations of the economy. And I'm really quite disappointed that more games don't attempt that. Like I can imagine in a fantasy RPG, if you have like the center of the region, like the capital is perfectly safe, and the prices are all low, and there's a lot of farms around, and they can provide surpluses of food and whatnot. But then the quest would require you to sort of move further and further away from that capital, away from that heartland, and as you do, right, the prices will become more and more expensive. You might start to see there might be newer and rarer items, but there might also be a lack of items you've come to rely on. So I feel like more games could really easily take advantage of this fluctuating economy idea, and actually have items that make sense for local regions. And I know a lot of games do this. Hello, person is sick. Don't blame yourself. That's not your fault. One of your rival counterparts must have overlooked them or left them on purpose. Nevertheless, no entry. It's under quarantine. I keep a sorrowful watch. Can't they be helped? Even being one of the bound, they're just an ordinary person. They can be cured just like any other. You're the healer here. It's your area of expertise. All right, I'll try to think of something. So this is the first game's attempted simulation of the disease on playable characters, and it never actually kills them. I could leave Ruben in here for the rest of the game, not give him any medicine, and he'd be fine. Like I'll just see him on the last day, drop by a Schmouder, and everything will be fine. Everything will be dandy. But I still I get why they did that, but it feels I really appreciate the risk that Pathologic 2 took in particular, with actually being able to kill off some of those characters with negligence or just with bad luck. Like it actually makes the plague feel more malevolent. When it's like this, you sort of feel like the plague is pulling its punches a little bit, right? If you know that the plague isn't going to kill the guy in there, if you know they're never actually going to be gone from the game, then that takes a little bit of the sting out, right? All of a sudden, it's not so stressful. You don't have to add anything else to your plate. You're just like, oh, I'll just keep some medicine if I need to talk to them, but otherwise, no biggie.
Ripper is the smartest of them all, from zero to hero.
Hectic day, ain't it? I've come to trade.
Wooden neck is tough to bend.
So yeah, he's got the outrageous prices. So I could get a rifle, revolver. It's all very expensive. I think I've still got enough for that. Do I have any clothes? Just drape another curtain over myself. How many bullets do I have? 10. I could raid a house. What's the time? 6:21. Oh, that's a question. Did I even go see the? We'll wander to the theater, or we'll try and wander to the theater. Given that it's in the heart of all this, so I might not be so keen, but I'm sure the Bachelor can make it. He survived this long. He'll just throw all his money at the plague. That'll make it go away. Yeah, music and color palette changes are just so integral to the original game's mood. And those guys are probably the worst enemies in the game. Fortunately, he's occupied with something else. Hello, sir. Bandages, excellent. Can I have one of my 58 bottles of water? Again, he's just like, I can just imagine Bachelor like clanking around town. His bag must be so heavy. He's just like dragging it sadly behind him at this stage. So yeah, we'll try and go the direct route. I mean, I don't know how well it'll work, but all we need to do is just make that beeline. So there's our Angel of Death. which I can't remember if they start to appear today or if they were appearing yesterday as well. But that's like the more advanced version of the plague. It moves faster and appears more quickly than C. That's quite slow moving in comparison. Don't mind me. I think since I'm not infected, I think they won't bother with me.
Someone could have ended up at that stake today. I was lucky to escape execution. Bachelor was noble enough to let me go.
Unbelievable. Sanpes is not a person. It's been proven. But who is the source? It's not the girl. That much is obvious.
You can escape everyone, even the Inquisitor's vengeful hand. But you can't escape yourself. The Earth Sister is breathing down your neck.
What shall we do?
It feels like the whole world is against me. I can't get this noose off. Is execution unavoidable?
Calm
Stop
down.
moaning.
You can remain a tool or become a rebel. The choice is yours. Men struggle in nooses, but puppets walk free.
I like that line. It's a good line. Very neat and tidy summation of the themes of the game. Someone remind me to record that music specifically. Save, start new save file there, so I remember to do that. No mark.
Our delusionment is often a delight to both our friends and enemies.
All is for the best in this best of the worlds. That's highly unlikely. So you can see things aren't doing so well, but at least you didn't have much of an audience before. The morning of the 7th day has come. Infected yesterday, 201 people. Died 322, gone missing 27. Total death toll 2,254 people. Day 7, in which the Bachelor gets a chance to uncover the truth and find an invaluable ally. Stay out of the way of them. Made it. Except there's a rat. Yeah, that's fine. The rat can follow me if he wants. He's hungry, I'm hungry, you know. Can't begrudge him wanting to nibble on the Bachelor's leg. The termitary is open. Nothing bars your passage inside. I beg your forgiveness for having concealed the true purpose of the blockade. I'm guilty indeed, but whatever I have done is acting in good faith and with good intentions. So we'll go see Big Blade. We'll see if Young Blade has anything to say about this first. Okay, yeah. What are you doing? Come here.
At the end of the day, it merely took her 4 hours to put an end to the chaos.
What can I do for you? I'm just here to get a short rest. Your place is cool and humid. Thanks, by the way. Okay. Back we go. Alright. Interesting, it's kept the step combat music for some reason. Which is probably my favorite combat track in the game. No. Ugh. There we go. And we go. It's another letter. Yep. Ava Yarn's farewell letter. Here we go. My time has come. I need to purge every trace of the sacrilege. I have to prepare room and board for the new visitor. I want the miracle to happen. Farewell, my Daniel. Be happy. Everything is for the better. I never wish to die a better death. Ava. So we're going to quickly see Big Vlad, and I assume it's partially the point of sending the Big Vlad letter first, is that it draws you out, even just briefly, and then you're like, oh crap.
I can't breathe. Not enough air.
Okay, he doesn't have anything useful to say to me, does he? Is this laid out differently than I remember? I swear that the panel here was set further back from the wall. Maybe that does change. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. Alrighty, back we go then. I'm gonna go see Ava. We're gonna go try find Ava. See, nope. I don't even have a rifle. About this one. Miss bullets. Don't need any more of those right now. So I do wonder where and how they got the kind of the deranged, like noises from those Firestarter Rider characters. Very, very strange. But yeah, the step music is just absolutely sublime. Probably some of my favorite, just immersive music in general. Quite often, especially with the rain noise overlaid, I'll relax with it. I should probably specifically record some rain step ambience. But yeah, that quite often those soundtrack videos I make for myself, they just sort of seem to extend indefinitely on for me. I often just hit replay on my own videos or loop the 1 hour Stivorky night stuff just because it's that good. Inquisitor's orders, Bachelor D. Dankowski, personal delivery, confirmation upon receipt. I've studied the materials you collected. I insist that you visit me to receive further orientation. Find me at the cathedral. Kind regards, Aglaya Lilich, Government Inquisitor. Isn't that nice? Kind regards. And I believe also at the end of the last video that must have seen that lovely cutscene where she sentences a bunch of people to death. So, kind regards. Swimming. Spiffing. Whatever some quaint turn of the century phrases. Some Cockney, like, yeah, just Bart from The Simpsons inexplicably slipping into that kind of Cockney accent. Okay, so we're gonna go home and see if we can find Ava, and naturally she won't be there. She just said that she was dead, which, is a big problem. I remember this quest, my first time through, absolutely just desperate to find some way to save her. And when it turns out that you can't, that was another moment when I realized how the traditional power fantasy works in games and how easy it is to subvert and break down those expectations. but not in a mean way. You know, there's nothing to indicate that you could have saved her. No one like yells at you. The game doesn't seem to like sneer down its nose at you. There's just a natural sense that the Bachelor stuffed up, or that you stuffed up, and it just comes as a really natural point in the story. So she's standing exactly where Ava was, but not Ava. Finally, you're here, Onion. There's been a disaster. Have you heard already? My master told me to fetch you immediately. Your master, who's that? Are you alone? Is your woman not here? Evidently. Hurry up and go to Andre then. He needs your help to make her come back, to take her away from the worms. She went to them of her own accord, but he said that was because she'd gone mad. So he knows where Ava is. I need to know what he wanted you to tell me. I need to know the exact words. Don't be angry with me, Onion. Andre told me to make a dash for the I'm saying Onion. Oinon. Andre told me to make a dash for the Oinon's place as quickly as I could to check if his woman was there. If I found her, I was to tell her that he was coming and make sure she doesn't harm himself. If I do not find her but find the Oinon, he told me to fetch you. He said you two would have to face trouble. Alright, seems I should talk to Andre rather than you. Visit Andre in the pub. I'll go see the Inquisitor first. You can tell that I'm approaching this quest with a sense of fatalism, whereas in the original playthrough, I was like, yep, straight to Andre, let's go. Got no time for the Inquisitor. Inquisitor be damned. I've got a friend to save, you know? Because yeah, she really did strike me as a genuine friend, which is why the loss is so palpable. And yeah, here's the foreboding cathedral. One more letter. The changeling's letter. Ava stood on the edge of the balustrade. She raised her hands up into the air and stepped forward. The wind did not carry her. She did not fly. The miracle did not happen. I know why Ava did what she did. Would you like me to tell you? Aglaya is not the new guest. It is not the pestilence in the cathedral that is blasphemous. The true blasphemy is your negligence. You were meant to achieve victory yesterday. You did not. Perhaps your latest muse will do better than the late one. She was setting up the place in your heart where the new guest will stay. Put your mind to it when at leisure. Clara, the Harbinger.
They've grown up and grown tired of me.
Daniil Dankovsky, very pleased to meet you. It's not just courtesy, I'm speaking from my heart. I have already had the honor of meeting you, but I doubt you remember. When was it? I attended your lecture. You demonstrated a reanimated lady 3 years ago at Lamarcus. I even took your autograph. The girl in a long shirt, do you remember? I asked you about the glassy lips too. Oh, that's some twist of fate. I'm very happy to make your acquaintance too, Aglaya. However, back then you introduced yourself as Stella Kartzlich. To be frank, I came by out of sheer curiosity. I had neither a mission nor any mercenary interests. But you did make a strong impression on me. Thank you. But it isn't sheer curiosity that has driven you here, is it? Indeed, let's get to the point. Your mission was to find a certain way to destroy the enemy completely. All I had to do was implement your solution. So I looked through your reports. They've confirmed my greatest fear. Yes, I've lost. You've won. Almost. I'm very happy you didn't find the disease carrier yesterday. Is that so? Events have taken an unexpected turn, Dankovsky. We've a lot to discuss and a lot to do. I'll be brief. All this time, someone has been trying to A. Kill you, B. Deceive you, and C. Use your authority and passion for the truth to achieve criminal goals. Would you like to know more? Very much so. You came here on your own accord, didn't you? Thanatica is in ruins. Your last hope was to draw publicity, to get a sensation, find something shocking, an ostensive proof of your theory. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is all just my interpretation. You're correct so far? Then you come across this, allegedly coincidental, letter from Isidore Burak, and here you are. So timely, isn't it? And, as luck would have it, the only local medic dies. He didn't die of the disease, did he? That's what I've been told. He was murdered. But luck is on the side of the public. You are in this remote area, and so you are ordered to come back with the shield, so to speak. Victory is the only option that's been left for you. Was that contrived too? I don't know. I am sure I have a lot more interesting details to find out. Will you help me? Here's where my own curiosity chimes in. Who are you loyal to? Oh, you'll find that out soon enough. Just let me compile some kind of image of you in my head, okay? I have nothing to fear.
I am not your enemy. We'll strike an alliance against a common foe, and justice will prevail.
You've been sent to fight an adversary that inherently cannot be beaten, in foolish hopes that a miracle would happen and your outstanding mind would stumble upon that 1 in a million chance. And just so that you wouldn't give up, they kept insisting that the adversary must be destroyed. Do you see how insidious the powers that be are? But why? Their motives are becoming less and less comprehensible to me by the day. Indeed, it's complicated. They'll become even less comprehensible when I tell you that I've been ordered to preserve the settlement at any cost and accepting any losses, the letter that we read before. Yet they deployed army detachments here. And now for the interesting part. Do you know who is in command? Do you even know what army I'm talking about? I'm all ears. The commander is Alexander Bloch, the war hero, the mind and hand behind the upcoming military reform, the cast off forwards, the broken front. You must have heard of him. No way. It's not a sanitary army. They have neither the special equipment nor even any weapons appropriate for the task. As a matter of fact, it's just two artillery regiments that have been marching towards the front line after performing successful maneuvers and a hastily assigned company of sanitary flamethrower corps. Don't you find that strange? Yes, quite. Rings any bells? Any stunning similarities that spring to your mind? No. Isn't it convenient that Block just happened to be here by sheer coincidence, just conducting maneuvers nearby? A visionary of military science, loathed by the entirety of our military's top brass, he personally received the train carrying a new long-range cannon that was being transported to the front by way of the Northwestern Railroad. And now, yes, it's uncannily similar to. Indeed, we all fell into the same trap. If only I could get even with them. Indeed, all this time there have been several watchers active in the town. At least 3 are known. They kept numbers, wrote down their observations, visited homes unbeknownst to the town's rulers, disguised as corpse carriers. It was they, one of them, who sent you those daily letters. One of them? What do you mean? It means that there is a traitor and a liar among them. They intentionally distorted the information, knowing that sooner or later it was going to find its way into my hands. But we'll get to that later. What? They knew of the epidemic before it began? I don't think so. Otherwise, they'd have been better prepared, and I have no doubt they are desperate to preserve this little town. No, they didn't know exactly what was going to happen here. And that's the most mind boggling part. But they were ready for trouble. All their emissaries came adequately informed. Informed of what? I want to study the Watcher's reports, but to even obtain them, I will require your help. I suspect they're under strict orders to keep me completely in the dark, just as they did you, Bachelor, only a few days ago. But why? To make our bright minds derive the correct solution independently of any outside sources. That's the reason. So, if I send someone for them or personally go to collect their reports, they will destroy them. They may even opt to go into hiding or commit suicide. So I ask you to act on my behalf. If they won't give their reports to you, why would they give them to me? Your mission is over, and their lives are in danger. I believe they will try to escape my all-seeing eye before today is over. Very well, how will I find them? I've had to walk around a lot, to observe, to examine. They must have the appearance of those who do the dirtiest work here, an elaborate disguise. I predict that they're going to crawl out into the daylight today, no matter where they've been hiding before. Where could they have been hiding? How should I know? I've only been here for a few hours, whereas you have been here for a week. Ask the local rulers. I suppose they're spread out evenly throughout the town. One was certainly active here in the stone yard, one in the knots, and the last one in earth. You're really well informed, aren't you? So yeah, now basically this is where the Bachelor's story, he really does become, as she said, like his mission is over. They're trying to convince him that his part to play is just as a puppet. And that as well, that's another kind of galling, uh, considering that you've been scrounging around for a week in this hellish place, just looking for something, anything to save the town, and then to just sort of be told like, oh, what you've done already, that's it, that's your duty finished. It can be a bit crushing. Uh, and that's the intent. All of a sudden, you're not pursuing the plague; you're pursuing a larger political scheme, and that also fits into the Bachelor's story, right? Like his story isn't just about the plague, but it is also about politics, especially aristocratic politics. And he comes to understand probably almost the most about the wider world, certainly more than Artemy does. Um, he gives the greatest understanding that there is meant to be a larger world acting and functioning and living outside of the town, one that we never see, but one that we get these trace evidences of. And that's really important world building to sort of build up the mood of this anachronistic, but mostly World War One style Russia. Uh, that's how we get this setting information, or this first layer of setting information, because there are multiple layers, of course, because this is Pathologic. This is an Iceberg Lodge game, and we have all of these different levels of meaning and the different levels that the story is functioning on. But that's how it stands. That's what today is all about. Today is about this political scheming. I'm the Stony-Eyed Watcher. I need your papers. Of course, here you go. Don't come here again. We'll be gone soon. No one's going anywhere without my approval. Report from the Watcher who worked in the higher part of town contains statements, estimates, reports, notes, and statistics. Okay, so now we get to go wander back into Plagueville again. Which, I can never get enough of. Boy. Oh dear. I'm quite tired. It always strikes me when I stream for the first time after a long break. I feel like streaming is like some kind of endurance sport, honestly. I feel like you really need to train, and so I'm hoping that with further practice, with settling back into a routine, I'll be able to stream a little bit more energetically and yet more consistently. Because I think in terms of what I want from streaming, it really is more consistency. Well, I guess just from the whole enterprise in general, I'd love to see some more consistency from myself in uploading, because I mean, frankly, I would love to make some money off of the work that I do, and given that this year the budget will be tighter than it's been for me, a lot tighter than it's been for me in previous years. Just any kind of relief of that kind of pressure would be much appreciated. But I don't want to sound ungrateful just for people watching, because that means a lot too. But yeah, today and over the next little while, I'll be. I've updated and will continue to update my Patreon and that kind of thing. I'll take a stronger stance on my online presence that way. I'm the Knots Watcher. I need your papers. Straight from the Inquisitor. Yes. How about I try brute force? That'll be ill-advised. I lied and need them for myself. I want to use the Inquisitor's name to get the precious statistics. Take them then. I don't need them anymore. Thank goodness. We'll be gone by evening. Until then, please don't mention us to the Inquisitor. That would be the end of us. But why? She's an evil witch. And a condemned one too. This whole mission is just her final vacation before the gallows. She won't miss any chance to get even with the powers that be or their representatives. Curious. Whoop. That was close. So yeah, I just calculated my budget for the year, and now I just need to calculate my routine for the year so I can hopefully recalculate my budget, and hopefully things will look a bit brighter going ahead with a more consistent schedule. God damn it. I'm not really in the mood to get infected right now. Take my eyes off the ball for 1 second. 1 second. Just wait for the game to crash, honestly. Oh, there we go. So yeah, hopefully you've seen my roadmap for the year. That's the very bare minimum of what I want to achieve. But obviously, if I can do more than that, and I'm currently on track to achieve more than that, then that would be indeed the absolute ideal. Because I would just, I'd love to grow the channel. Because I do really enjoy the work I'm doing, especially the video essays. The DaVinci Resolve, that was much improved, a much improved experience. God, I'm doing terribly. Sorry about this. This was, I always like this, the illustration of the dog-headed boy here. Sort of the magical realism that I really was, or I really am after from these kinds of experiences comes through just in that one loading screen, and that really shows the game's imaginative power and the really great traits behind its art direction. Seriously? Ah, goodness. Maybe it's fate. Maybe Pathologic is just saying, "Look, you've just got to get infected." But I don't want to. We'll see. Well, one or two more resets. Otherwise, I'll just have to live with it. I just prefer not to, just for the sake of keeping my stream more interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Keeping the stream more interesting in terms of me being able to focus on commentary rather than struggling to survive. Which, I mean, like, the games I plan to stream in future will be games I've never played before. So that'll be actually a novel aspect for me, because I've not yet streamed any games that I've not played before. Because I'm always coming at these games with the analytical perspective, and it's really obviously very hard to come at games with an analytical perspective if you've not played them before, because there's that whole spoiler culture business. Everyone seems obsessed, and sometimes rightly, with the fact that there are spoilers. The spoilers can damage your work in some way, but and I'm one of those people. I think that a work should be experienced blind for the first time on its own merits, because that's probably how the designer, the original artist, intended for the game to be experienced, or the work of fiction in question, to be experienced. But there's sort of, I'm still really hoping with this blind playthrough stuff, I'll be able to do some on the fly, analysis and thoughts and comparisons, and that kind of thing. And that I'll also be able to use those games that I play on stream to make video essays from, and other kinds of content. Because I'm not interested in resting on my laurels, and just doing Pathologic, just doing Silent Hill content. I want to branch out, and also not just horror stuff either. I want to try a lot of different things this year, and some of that might not succeed, some of that might do better than my wildest dreams. Probably not, but guy can hope. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I am also really interested in looking into LGBTQIA, just games in general. But especially, it would be nice. Would be nice to delve specifically into sort of horror themes, etc. Hello, Mr. Barman. Buy some coffee. Yeah, I'll just take the coffee, thanks. And we've got these two Cute, creepy guys. Hello. Don't like stories that involve someone going insane. Mr. Martin shouldn't have gone after her. Where is Andre? Andre has gone to the marsh to kill Ava's abductors. He was in such a hurry he didn't even wait for me. Why would he wait for a chicken? I beg your pardon. Pardon denied. Ruthless. Okay. Pardon denied. That was so good, wasn't it? I'd forgotten about that, but how direct and brutal the Bachelor can be at times. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about that. Talk about that stuff later. But yeah, there are a lot of projects I want to work on. So immediately after finishing this game, I did want to play Amnesia Rebirth, but I was also thinking about starting Pillars of Eternity 2 on stream. I was curious as to how a big RPG would work on stream, whether or not it's a good idea, whether there'd be able to be some audience input with, like, if I was able to find a time that really did work regularly for me, that we could sort of have a collaborative role-playing experience going on, that kind of thing. Wretched little... Gotcha. Is that another letter? Barack's note. Onion. 2 days ago I did you a favor. I asked that you return it today. I'm in dire need of an Undertaker uniform, which is to say a cloak and a mask of a kind worn by the executors. It has become all but impossible to get your hands on these lately. Perhaps there are some in the theatre still. That is a place I'm not allowed to enter. Get a cloak and a mask for me, please. I'll give you anything in return. Okay. Hello. I'm the Earth Watcher. Are you here on business? I need your papers. Aglaya doesn't know that we're here yet, does she? Who's that? Come on, there's no need to pretend. Maybe she does. I know nothing about it. It's like... play dumb. Not that dumb. Alright, take them. Maybe they'll help you more than they helped us. We'll be gone by the evening, but until then, please don't tell us about the Inquisitor. Please don't tell about us to the Inquisitor. That will be the end of us. But why? She has nothing to lose. She knows there are rats among us. The rats who have caused you a lot of trouble, and will probably cause her a lot of trouble too. I think she will butcher all of us. The Watchers, the Executors, guilty or innocent. She doesn't strike me as the cruel type. So I got that in my inventory. Okay, so the next place to go, theoretically back to the theatre, I suppose. And what's going to be the best way? What if I sweep around over the step just to avoid any further confrontations with infection for now? Hi, rat. Let's pop into Asperger's house real quick. As I found it really interesting and also really heartening that Pathologic, at least to a certain degree, has got a really healthy subset of LGBTQIA plus fans, myself included, and there are, the game doesn't have any necessarily overt themes of queerness, but it is really important that those underlying themes, or what we see in the characters as well, like that they can be expressed by the viewer. There's a lot of I think in particular there's a lot of trans Dankovsky, which is cool. Trans rights are human rights. Just to put that out there, just in case you were unclear on where I stand. But those kinds of interpretations, I find them really cool. Not that I necessarily engage with fan fiction very much or anything like that, but it just heartens me to know that they're out there, and that as well that things are sort of progressing really nicely, in that sense, that games slowly but surely are becoming a more diverse space, and frankly, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think we get more imaginative games, more effective games, as we do that, as we broaden the storytelling horizons. But like the kind, like people seem to be worried about a certain kind of game going away, and I don't really think that the straight white protagonist, I don't think they're going anywhere. And if other kinds of stories give us, greater opportunity for not just representation, but for effective stories that place us in the shoes of other people, and let us experience things that we ourselves will never experience in real life. I mean, what are games for if not like kind of an empathetic imagination, right? That's what strikes me as important about the future of video games, is that there's a real potential, and I don't think we can reject the potential. A lot of there's a lot of really reductive queer games that just sort of say, oh, you could, there's a queer romance, or they're just queer dating games, but that implies that queerness is all just about sexuality, that queerness is just inherently sexual, which is a really harmful and stereotyped narrative, that's just what it's about. And I think stories about queerness being able to be claimed, that's really important, that it's not just something that you're born with, that it's, oh crap, I'd forgotten about this, that it's something that you choose to be, and I'm hoping that we see more stories like that. I know I've gone on a long side tangent from Pathologic, but those are the kinds of videos I want to make. I'll try and see if I can do any structural analysis like that of video games with with more diverse gender and sexual roles. I think I'm hoping I can dig up some really cool ones, as well as play the kinds of more traditional horror games and whatnot that you've seen from me already. But I'm legitimately excited for to play Pillars of Eternity 2 on stream. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, it might help me push through it, because quite often I love CRPGs like so much, but I often get bogged down in just forgetting about them. Like I'll jump from CRPG to CRPG just because there's so much to each of them. But boy, yeah, I'm hugely excited for the current plans. So Amnesia Rebirth, Pillars of Eternity. And sorry to disappoint anyone. I don't like to abandon games or playthroughs, as you can probably tell by my insistence to keep playing through this after a 5-month hiatus. But the Silent Hill 3 playthrough might be on hiatus for longer still, simply because I have over the new year I played through Silent Hill 3 4 or 5 times. You can tell that the AI is really clever at the moment. They're trying to get on the bridge, but they can't. Oh, crap. This guy, that was close. Okay. Yeah. I'll just leave that. So I don't know why Andre didn't help. Like, I just massacred an entire group of people. That's not really a good thing, by the way, but whatever. You just stood there and watched, huh?
What?
Ah, you've come at last. But evidently it has all been pointless. I'm an idiot. Where's Ava? Is she alive? No. I'm pretty certain she is dead by now. There was a mistake, it seems. A terrible mistake. Although there was a reason for us to come here too. Oh, to hell with all this. A mistake? Tell me. I received a farewell letter from Ava informing me that she was planning to take her own life at the cathedral, convinced that a miracle will be there for her. She wanted to jump from the balustrade and fly. An insane, rambling letter, apparently written by an already deranged person. And then what? I barely had time to comprehend what had happened, and then the dancer, Ayan, appeared. She said that the worms were sending their regards. They were thankful I had fed my woman to them. We're even now, they said. You know me. Without further dilly-dallying, I put two and two together and came to the conclusion that they were referring to Ava. Why in the world didn't you ask her who they were referring to? Well, I just assumed it could have been Ava. I went straight to the worms, and I sent the girl to you in case Ava had indeed decided to end her life at the cathedral. But Ayan messed everything up, so here we are. Here we are where? What do you mean? Ava jumped from the balustrade of the cathedral. That's the kind of cathedral we have now. Consecrated by suicide. But poor Ava thought otherwise. She wanted to become the soul of the cathedral. She never knew that the stupid construction was not intended to be a focus. What focus? You mean the focus that the Canes mentioned? Erecting a construction that can hold a soul is not humanly possible. We've only managed to do it once, just recently, but that's another story. You'll come to know everything in due time. As for our cathedral, it's cursed. The whole town is, since today. She wrote a letter to me too. Said she was going to purify the place for the new guest. That means the place is the cathedral and the guest is Aglaia, right? It makes sense. She wrote to me that the only thing she was always ready to give her life for is the cause my brother and I have pledged ourselves to. So she wanted to imbue the building with her soul. That was her personal interpretation of our cause, an interpretation both deranged and lovely. She knew how to get straight to the heart. Don't you think it's your pride talking? I'm gutted and turned inside out. I'm neither pious nor exceptionally moral, you know, but that's simply too much. I need to find a way to keep living and working so that Ava's death wouldn't have been in vain. You're probably right. Let's go. Ava is no more. All she wanted was to put a miracle into practice and become the living soul of the lifeless cathedral. Could it be that she chose the most terrible act imaginable to accomplish this? Ava, there's an enormous gap between self-sacrifice and suicide. Don't have anything to say to me. Alright. So yeah, deeply depressing and deeply affecting. I remember trying to reload the game at this point and just being like, there's got to be, like, what if I just beeline straight for the cathedral? What if I wait at the cathedral in the morning? But that's not how Pathologic works, of course. It's not a power fantasy in any way, shape, or form. Unless you like getting incredibly rich. 32,000 coins still. Okay. So I think, yeah, this means we'll come up on the end of our main quest for the day. What's the time? Yeah, still plenty of time. I'll see if I can, yeah, just get some more sleep for the Bachelor. See if we can go straight to day 8. We'll see. See how I feel. But yeah, what was I was talking about? Yeah, like CRPGs. I get most of them. I get really bogged down in little details, I think, and that means that while I love them and I love the storytelling and I love the seemingly endless like role playing opportunities, quite often I'll get lost and just sort of slow down and put it down, and then when I want to pick it back up, those games are so dense and rich that I will have probably forgotten where exactly I was and what exact kind of character I was playing and the decisions I'd made previously. And then by then, of course, is the whole thing's like pointless because, I mean, why even keep playing if you don't know where you've come from? So quite often I'll put them down and sadly never pick them back up, or only pick them back up years after the fact. And the danger remains, of course, that I'll do exactly the same thing. So I'm hoping in future with this stream, with a concerted time and a concerted effort, that I'll be able to do something cool with it, you know. Alrighty. Here we are again in this beautiful cathedral. Hello. I'm listening.
Why are they playing me up?
Here's what I managed to take from the watches. Right, let me see. Yes, that's about what I was expecting. Numbers, dates, notes, very good. If only those seeds of truth weren't intermixed with so much chaff, this could give us a dramatic push in the right direction. Excuse me? It seems simple comparison won't be enough to figure out the false report. They all describe different things, and there might be two false ones. A pity. Daniil, we must hurry before they are gone. Find out which one of them is which. Outsmart them. Outsmart them? How? One of them is a liar and a traitor. I suspect it was they that sent you those letters that would enrage you and even endanger your life. One of those reports is a farewell gift from them, a false lead that will put you on a false trail. How did you find that out? A friend gave me something before I left for this place. He knew some of the internal workings of this whole affair, and questioning Vlad Olgimsky confirmed my hypothesis. Both he and Saburov knew that there were watchers active around here, yet they told me nothing. They may have been intimidated into keeping silent. Fine, how can I help you? Try to find out which one of them is the liar. Like in that old riddle, the traitor is sure to lie. Someone who hesitates could both lie and tell the truth. The last one would be truthful until the end, but even the truthful watcher won't be very forthcoming. Are you up to the task? Yes, I think I know how to do it. One more thing. My intuition tells me you have no room for error. These people are extremely desperate now. If you accuse the truthful watcher or the one who is still hesitating, they might react unpredictably. I know their kind. You will only have one shot. I see. You want to take the opportunity to test my mental faculties. But I don't mind that. Would it make sense to provoke them? It would. The traitor's afraid. Ogumsky informed me of that. We just need to put a noose around their neck and they'll climb the nearest lamppost by themselves. Very well. We'll see which is which. Okay, so it's not the end. Okay, so the idea, of course, there's a little hint in the message there that if I could dress up like one of them, they'd immediately tell me who the traitor was. So we'll go to the theater and try and get that outfit, because that would mean we'd be able to get it for Artemy and for myself. So you can see as well that at this point, I'm not... Like, I replayed the Bachelor's route a couple of times, but not for several years now. So you can sort of see that gaps in my memory have formed. I'd forgotten that this quest involved this riddle segment for some reason. Not that it's a bad thing. But, you know, like, we'll see. We'll see how quickly we can do this. Just means we'll have to walk through the infected district again. And this poor guard is just risking his life for no real reason. Just take the same dodgy route we took before, I think. So yeah, the structure of the game really is very well done. Just sort of keeps you guessing, keeps you on your toes, and the time limit and the unpredictability of when the quest will end means you really need to budget out your time really carefully, because you know what will happen if you don't, and that if you end up with one more objective to complete with a couple of hours to go. I'm pretty sure that's what happened to me the first time I tried this quest, actually. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. Okay. Hello.
They say this Burek has managed to make a panacea.
Burek? Burek? Who's Burek? All is for the best in this best of the worlds. I need an executor mask and a cloak. Do you have any to spare? My God, have you finally decided to join my troop? Oh no, but that would be too much of an honor. So, has the Inquisitor demoted you to an executor? Well, it turns out that we are probably a part of his troop, at least. specifically in the second game. I need the mask and the cloak to do a job. Says everyone who wants to remain unidentified. You're not entirely honest, esteemed sir. So what if I'm not? Every piece of clothing I possession had to be distributed. Mass burials are a full-fledged business now. They've confiscated all the stage props. Who did? Sabarov. He has appointed one of the well-respected townspeople as the master of cremations. That is a death sentence, of course. I doubt anyone could survive that assignment. Well, obviously you can try to get an outfit from an executor. They do still have them. I saw them dig a pit in a lot by the cemetery today. Many of them stayed there too. What kind of lot? Just a lot by the cemetery. Go ask them. I'm sure they'll find a spare mask and a cloak for you. If they don't, address your complaints to Sabarov. Fine. This way. Just squeeze past the plague. What's the harm? Let's just pop in here briefly. What can I do? How much immunity do I actually have? Because I feel like I should boost my immunity a little bit. 66, 60, 40. Drink that one, and then use a bandage. What are your prices like today, sir? Not too flashy. I just placed the plague clouds in just the most strategic locations, don't I? Just to throw you off. So yeah, abandoned district, so we're going to circle around to the side here and just go through the nice district instead. Because Bachelor Daniil Dankovsky is a responsible person. Alrighty. Here are the factories. Oh dear. Maybe it was just rubbish sleep. Maybe that's what happened. Oh, alright. All those. So this bit here, hopefully there'll be a mask and stuff here. I think that's a unique character model, isn't it? I don't think you see that anywhere else in the game. How long have you been following me? Yeah, like that. I'm wondering if that is a Pathologic character model or whether it's a placeholder from somewhere else. I don't know, but it's certainly interesting when you see things like that in games, isn't it? Just new character models. Yeah, like there's another subtle variation. Like maybe was that meant to be the original infected model? Was it? And they, I can see why they would have settled on the later one, on the current one, because that one actually they're quite hauntingly. Like it dehumanizes them, but it keeps the human silhouette. You know, so you sort of you feel this real empathy for them because there's sort of already ghosts, right? Whereas those, if those were the infected model, you'd really still see them as living. Whereas the sand pest is supposed to be, you know, basically undefeatable, right? And that's the current silhouette, the current look of them is already just shambling like ghost zombie type people. That's what gives the game some more of its power. Like everything is really well considered. The question is, what exactly am I looking for here? Someone behind these rocks, maybe? Normally hide people like that, don't they? Doesn't seem to be anyone. But yeah, you really can tell that I have I've forgotten exactly what I'm supposed to do, because you can't get in the pit, and obviously I don't think you'd want to. But okay, here we go. Executor's cloak. What like? I have the raiment. The lining is thick enough to keep a soul locked in. I now see why the executors chose us as a suitable outfit for the job. Okay. Was there somewhere else to pick up the hood, or am I just expected? He mentioned Severov, right? He mentioned Severov, so I guess we'll go see Severov and see if he's got a hat for me. Yeah, I hope the resurrection of this playthrough and my finishing of it this year will sort of be another like thing I can really tick off on the box, because I really do want to have this really nice back portfolio of things for future watchers of the channel to sort of come through, and even just see hopefully how far I evolve. Already I sort of see a lot of structural improvement. I say humbly, but I do feel like I am genuinely improving as an online creator, and that I hope what I'm putting out remains interesting to you, because certainly that is my desire, is to remain interesting, to remain thought-provoking, or just to give you some relaxing vibes, because that's really what I'm after. I want to be the antithesis of the screaming horror, reactor person who all they can do on seeing horror stuff is like jump 50 feet back in their chairs and that kind of thing. And I'm not to say that those people aren't entertaining or providing their own useful, source of reactions and that kind of thing, because it can be really fun to watch people react like that to video games, and I know it can, because I've been a fan of those kinds of videos before. Not so much now, but like I see why people like them, because that's why people. I feel like that's why people watch. Well, that's why I watch gameplay videos anyway, and I suspect you're probably the same thing listening to this. Is that you want to see how other people react to games and situations that you have already played or you've already thought about. Blah blah blah. God damn it. I guess I'll wait. I mean, I did save there. Like that's what you're sort of trying to engage with. That's why we engage with Twitch and that kind of thing in general, as well as to see people's live, honest, earnest reactions to things. And that's why I hope this year playing through stuff that I haven't played before will be more entertaining for you and us both. Because while I love and adore this game with all my heart, and I would play it, I would just keep playing it, I do think that it does my channel a disservice to just restrict myself in this way. But again, like, I'm not like gonna crack down on pathologic content and not make pathologic content or anything like that. What I'm looking for is some more diversity in the portfolio of things that I have, and possibly some more honest, in the moment reactions that still have an intellectual approach to them.
No,
Hello.
I can't stand it much longer.
I've handed my powers to the Inquisitor. I've had enough of this. Did you give the order to stop burying and to start cremating? Yes, there's a one last thing, right before handing it all to Aglaya Lilich. And who did you appoint to manage the burials? One Peter Stomartin. You don't know him. You've sentenced him to death. You are wrong. I know him very well. I can't imagine a more moronic appointment. From your point of view, from mine it looks completely different. There's a cast iron logic by this decision. Revoke your decision. Choose someone else. There is no person in this town who deserves death more than Peter Stomartin. Even if street murderers were responsible and ambitious enough for the job, I still choose him over them. I don't have to explain my choices to you. I said revoke it. No. The decision is final and not up for debate. We'll see about that. Okay. Meandering on. So yeah, we want to see Peter. So yeah, I was thinking about. I mean, I know my channel is literally called Horror Game Analysis, but I think there was some potential for me to branch out into books. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable talking about anything else, because that's like my area of expertise is indeed in books and games. I think film and TV maybe, but I definitely don't watch enough to be any kind of
So the Inquisitor is a woman.
informed opinion.
For real? I'd like to have a look at her.
Sometimes, I wax a lot of poetic about the dialogue in this game, but then sometimes you just get just an exquisitely beautiful line, like Peter Stomartin's. Just so the Inquisitor is a woman, for real, for real. Whoa. So you have a brother too. I've been told you've been given some stage props, execute outfits. You say, have you not ready? Does Severov really want you dead? He thinks I'm a vicious murderer. There was an abominable crime. Old business. I'll tell this to you and to you only. It wasn't my fault, but I ended up taking the blame. I didn't kill him. I wanted to. Yes, I could have. What the hell? How many people have killed someone around here lately? They are all murderers. I wish at least 1/10 of them were punished. Who did you want to kill? A guild fellow of mine. His ardor was disproportionate to his talent. You see, he nearly convinced the rulers to grant him the side of the river for his project. Yes, he deserved to die, but I didn't kill him. What was his name? What's the difference? We had him buried under a fictitious name, a tribute to a celebrated architect of old. So there's some consolation for him at least. Who are we? I must have a reason to keep that secret, don't you think, old boy? Why would I torture myself over it otherwise? They say he fell down from a great height and broke his neck. That's how he died. I also heard a rumor he got lethally intoxicated with bad twirine. You do realize your secrets are easily seen through, don't you, Peter? Well, not by Severov. Doesn't Severov have real murderers to keep himself busy with? Why in the world would he waste his time trying to get even with you? Yes. Right you are. Actually, I wish they'd give me a 3-day delay, nothing more. Do you think it would be possible to arrange for them to leave me alone until, say, Friday? Only 3 days? Why? I need to finish my greatest creation. It won't take long, it's just blueprints and calculations, see? Then I could go ahead and die without a moment's delay. Can't anyone find a way to deal with the bastard? Especially now he's given up his powers. Maybe you can help. The Inquisitor can probably bring the former governor to her senses. I'll talk to her. Thank you, old boy. Not asking for myself, but for the art. Hush, I don't need your excuses. Good old bathtub. Yes. Right, why does my brain just picks things back up? The Silent Hill 3 playthrough, that's what I won't be picking back up for a while, because I played it through 4 or 5 times, and I really immersed myself in the game, and I just don't feel I could play it again on stream right now without being absolutely, without struggling with the game a lot. just getting a bit fed up with it, because I really did, like, I played it through and I loved it to bits so many times. It gave me a much deeper appreciation for the game, but I just don't think, right now is the time to play it again. Plus, I think where I left the Silent Hill 3 playthrough I'm doing at the moment, I've left myself in a really, really awful position, and I don't think with the resources I have I'm going to be able to beat the final boss on hard difficulty. And I think, that's obviously a problem. So I will one day endeavor to return to it, but I'm not sure when that's going to be exactly. So I'll pick up other games before I return to Silent Hill 3. So sorry to anyone who's for whatever reason was really hanging on to me to finish that one soon too. Pathologic is the priority, and then I will be finishing up, and then I will be starting several new projects. I might also go back to Crash Bandicoot to finish that off, because I would like to at least finish off the first game, get that 100% under my belt on stream. But that's also not, for me, a priority right now, and I'm sure you can perceive why. It's it's, don't get me wrong, Crash Bandicoot, really important game to me. Perhaps the first game I ever consciously remember playing. But it's still, in terms of priority, it's not like I'm doing interesting analysis layered over it. I think I'd need a guaranteed slot where there'd be some activity to bounce off of. I think is what I'd really be looking for. Run back to a glass. So this whole day is just like the same circuit over and over again. And plus the rats just follow me everywhere. Insipid, insufferable rats. Never, ever gets old. Ever, let me tell you. Whoa. Such fun. And there are a couple of, smaller horror games I wanted to tackle. So I think a couple of Puppet Combos games.
What?
Okay, I'll continue that thought in a minute. I want to ask a favor of you, Severov. Abusing the power he's been given is endangering the life of a certain Peter Stomartin. Why? It seems he's trying to settle a personal grudge. And who's that Peter Stomartin? The creator of the speculator on the other side of the river. Oh, then his life more than deserves to be saved. Thank you. And how exactly is Sabarov needlessly endangering his life? He puts Stomartin in charge of burials and cremations. The work is highly dangerous since he has to deal with the dying all the time. We can fix that. We'll find a replacement. You have my gratitude. Now it's my turn to ask you a favor. It feels strange to admit that, but I actually can't achieve one of the most coveted goals in this town. Only you can help me. I've learned that Victor Kane's aloof daughter is madly in love with a certain proud fighter of death. She is. That's news to me. At least nothing in her behavior betrays that. Perhaps, but my request is very important. In fact, the fate of this town may depend on it. Please arrange for me to meet with my beloved relative. She won't refuse you. Wait, Maria is related to you? Yes, the most beloved of my family. But my love is unrequited. She's prejudiced against me. I heard her in the past, and then she was told terrible things about inquisitors. A silly childish prejudice. Now that we are both young women of a similar age, a new meeting should help wash old memories away. How can I assist you in that? I don't wish to force my way into a beloved person's home. I need an invitation to come in. Convince her that I mean no harm, just like a vampire. Or just take me to her and tell her, here, I've brought you a new friend. And let me speak. Very well, that won't be hard, but only if she really is happy to see you. Just pop across the road and be like, hello. You know that lady you really hate? It's just across the road. Yeah, she just wants to come into your house. Just wants to, barge into your house. I'm sure that'll be fine. This is one of the buildings that was very much improved by the sequel. The spacing here is really weird. The fact that it's just 3 separate manors that all seem to look out onto nothing but a bench is really not as impressive a statement as the really lovely Crucible in the second game. I much prefer it there, though I do love the ugly fireplace. It's just gorgeous. Hello.
I often feel like someone's looking at us from the other side.
Whatever happens to me now, do not be surprised by anything. Just promise me you'll never doubt me. Turns out that Aglaya Lilich is your relative. I didn't know that. Yes, she is the younger sister of my lovely mother, and there is not a single person in the world who would hate my mother more viciously than she does. She claims to be fond of you. She hates me for my mother's magical power. I know what she wants. She wants to see if I resemble my mother or not. Oh, she won't leave me alive, especially now that mother's many-colored power has begun to awaken inside me. She'll know. She'll feel it. She says that she had frightened you somehow when you were a child. It has to pass if you give her a chance. No, I do not think so. Consider it a whim, but I am incapable of doubting my premonitions. Else too many people will suffer. It may be a superstition. I may be imagining this, but I won't really learn ever. You are holding a key as if you're about to leave. Where to? Oh, I wasn't planning on going anywhere. And who are you to forbid me anyway? You're a bad liar. I think I'm going to tell your father about that. Oh no, please don't tell Dad. He must not be disturbed now. Don't go there. He must not get distracted. Today is Memory Day. You've piqued my curiosity. Gonna see your dad. Yeah, it's good to be back streaming. I just wish I had more energy. I feel like I say that too often. I'm always so drained. Not that it impedes me from doing the work and the things that I love. I just wish I had more energy. Maybe it's because I do all the things that I love that I have so little energy. A memory of a person grants them an immortality of its own kind. Yet how soon people have forgotten Simon. He's fading with every minute that goes by. Your daughter intends to go out into the town. Are you aware of her plans? I am. I've forbidden it. Can you even imagine what's going on there? I don't need to, Doctor. I can just look out of my window. Or at you, for that matter. What's her business in town? I think she was going to see the architects, Andrea, Peter most likely. She needed to know something about the tower, about the inner workings of some chambers, I believe. She's particularly concerned about it now, because of Simon's memory fading. The streets are dangerous as hell, and you are so indifferent. They said that Lilich had restored order in the streets with an iron fist. Is it true they've erected a gallows near the railway? Speaking of Aglaya, she's been seeking audience with Maria. I don't think any good will come of that. Aglaya has always been a mean little girl. But you know, I've always believed that people can and do change for the better. Every time an enemy of mine returned after a prolonged absence, I welcomed them with open arms. You're a generous person, Victor, and a bit of a dreamer. Pardon my lack of ceremony. Okay, see ya. It's nice talking to you. Bye. Okay, so where to now? I guess, yeah, so what we can do is tip Aglaya off to where Maria is going, because we do want to see the resolution to this quest because it's interesting, and then we will go see Peter, and then we'll get that hat.
They've grown up and grown tired of me.
Maria is planning to visit Peter, the one whose life you saved. If you wish to see your niece, you better hurry. Can't appreciate your help enough, Bachelor. I won't forget your service. I'll come by to see your tearful reconciliation. Bandage. Coffee. Meat. What a hearty meal to chug down. Okay. So this is one of the longest quests, actually, isn't it? This main quest. It really draws itself out just with the addition of these side quests that you have to do if you want to do it the easier way. Which I do, I want to get my hands on a nice big bird helmet. That's what the Bachelor's been waiting for this whole week. He wants this bird hat. Like, look at that, so cool. I was always a big fan as well of the particular look of the executors and executors in this game, simply because they appear really quite formal. It looks more like a uniform, a more modern uniform, I guess, than the one that we see in 2. And the ones in 2 are just awesome as well. the big bone bird skulls. Like those work really well, but the ones in this game I also have a really nostalgic attachment to, just because they. I mean, this was the first one I played, and because they have that really dusty look about them, like the sort of the red and the brown color palette that keeps them rooted really firmly in the color palette of this particular entry in the series. This particular game. Just keep running. I saw there was a post a couple of weeks ago from Iceberg Lodge talking about the emphasis that they're placing on the Bachelor's viewfinder, and I'm glad to hear that. I suspect, I seem to remember making a prediction at some point to someone that the viewfinder there'd be different. It could work really similar to the tinctures, and that we have different colored lenses or whatever. And that we have to diagnose them using those different colored lenses. I think that'd be the really easy way to do it, but I'm hoping they go for something a little bit more complicated in terms of diagnosis, because I'm sure the Bachelor will be able to diagnose and vaccinate. I think those seem to be his strengths and the main theme of his story. He doesn't go after the cure; he tries to prevent the disease rather than cure it after the fact. He's after, he helps make the vaccine, he helps make the preventative medicine, but and he tries to contribute, I guess, to the panacea, but can't do much more than just assist Artemy on the side occasionally. Run. And for the 5th time today, we're coming up on the lovely Disease Street. Disease Street number 23. Hi, Maria.
The caprice of our temper is even more whimsical than that of fortune.
I will never forgive you for that. You brought her here. I wanted to reconcile you two. Oh, how naive you were. Did you really trust her? Tell me, did she hypnotize you? Can simple trickery like that really get to you? You could have ruined us all, or maybe you have. Peter is out cold now, but what if he comes too? Did she interrogate him? She doesn't have to. One look at these chambers and she realized everything. Oh, what have you done? Now she knows all about Peter. Good thing he's unconscious, but it won't last long. We need to call for help. I already regret my choice. Forgive me. If you want to make up for it, take her away from here. Now, I can't do it myself. I wanted to call someone for help so that they could distract her with troubling news or something. Okay, I'll do it. Just don't cry. Oh my god. So, that's much more dramatic than you were probably expecting. Oh, look at that. He's back. Hello.
You found out everything I needed you to. That will do. Cheer up. These things happen.
I was just helping the owner come to. He's been telling me quite compelling stories, such as just about his works mostly, how he breaks the laws instilled by nature itself into the fabrics of the earth, a clear-cut militant theomachist, non-serviam and all that, a curious one. Such specimens are few and far between in our enlightened times. What does that gleam in your eyes all of a sudden? Just thinking of how similar people's fates turn out. We've had so many bright stars of talent rise recently, Almost all of them tried to single-handedly break the laws of history, nature, morality, and all treaded such identical paths. What do you talk about? Just asking him about the blueprints, and he keeps saying he doesn't know what those are and doesn't want to know. Sudden memory loss. He's staring at the walls like he used to see through them before. It was a good choice to come here. He was right about to remember, but then Maria came. What happened between you? Just nothing much. Maria burst in, then ran out in tears a minute later. We failed to make peace. It's a pity that everyone sees an enemy in me. Such as the bias against Inquisitors. I only wish to do good, not specific targeted good like that Clara, but overarching good. I sincerely hope so. I believe you. You fight for truth just like I do. Thank you. Hopefully I won't disappoint you. Now it's best that you leave. I'll take care of Peter. Of course. I have great sympathy for this man, Peter Stammartin. He must be taken care of. In any case, thank you. You've accomplished something great, even if it may not look so at first glance. Let me thank you for the service. Are you in need of anything? Weapon, vaccine, antibiotics. Vaccine. Thanks. Quest completed. Maria
Oh,
seems to have been
boy.
lying to us, but then Aglaya could have also been lying to us. You have a brother too. Peter, can you hear me? You're not the master of cremations and burials anymore. Oh, how appropriate, old boy. So I can get back to work now. Take the mask. I have no need of it for now, though I could use it to mix ink. Working in this condition is useless, though, isn't it? Okay. Ta-da. And Maria is gone. Okay. Now we want to go and talk to all those executors again, and then we'll finish the quest, and then we'll probably finish the day, and then subsequently finish the stream, I reckon. This is basically just a stream just to get me back into it, and also to outline my plans and aspirations for the year. And I think it's been a successful one. And this will take us over the halfway mark of Pathologic. So we'll have day 8, day 9, day 10, and day 11 to play through. Those are all solid days. And then day 12 is it'll be the wrapping up day. So I don't really consider that to be of any particular stress or challenge. That'll just be how it falls. But it'll be good to tick off another day here. Another rat. Goodness knows I never get tired of them. Another rat. Goodness knows I never. A broken record. Okay. So we really just want to trick them. So we should be wearing while wearing the outfit. They won't know what's what, or who's who, rather. I'll appear just as any other person. Hopefully they're still standing. Yep, they're standing exactly where I left them hours and hours ago. I've had a really engaging and interesting day doing a lot of work just staring at this brick wall. Or maybe not staring, they probably can't see anything out of it. But yeah, you see what I mean about the costume evoking the mood of the surrounding area? Looks the color of the boards, the color of the bricks, etc. He just evokes this particular town in a really beautiful way. He's like the town mascot. Yeah. Where do you work in the knots? Hey, do you think I stand a chance at all? If she finds out what you're doing, she'll break you on the wheel. I'll manage. So, I mean, from the sound of that, it's the guy in the knots who's in trouble. So, I mean, we can just breeze back through and see the other ones first. I just do that just to lose the rats. It's the easiest way. As you've probably seen, it's really easy to just whiff your attack over the top of them because their hitbox is so small and the Bachelor's movements are so inconsistent. It's hard to know whether he's going to do that front stab. So he's done that 3 times in a row. All I've been doing is clicking forward, and then randomly he will do that swipe. It doesn't matter how fast or slow I click it. So we got... Yep. So you might have, it almost looked like there was a pattern forming, right? Like 3 front stabs and then that slash, and then he just does that 1 front stab and then a slash. So there's no way to know. You don't know what move he's going to do until he's doing it. And when you're fighting one-on-one, that's fine. But it's really easy to get overwhelmed by multiple enemies or multiple rats just because if he plays the wrong animation, it's really going to stuff you up. Yeah, the combat in this game is a really funny one. Because I find myself enjoying it in spite of itself, but maybe that's only because it's so easy to cheese. It's exploitable in a way that the second game's combat isn't. And as a result, I think the second game ends up with a better feeling experience combat-wise than the original. Because once you get Pathologic Classic combat, you break the game. Once you understand the rhythm of it, there's almost no way that you can actually lose fights, at least not consistently. You might get caught off guard occasionally. But once you know how the basic rubber moves and what their animations and speeds are, and also what the capabilities of your character are, that's when you just blow a lid off the whole thing. And maybe one day I will play through the other, at least Clara's run through, because what I want to do, right? I want to stream, so I can stream Pathologic 2 at some point this year too. And if I do that, I'm not sure whether I'd stream Artemis Route in the original game, because even though it still adds a lot, like, it's still worth playing for those who haven't played it before. But I think if I was going to stream both, then people might get a little sick of that. I don't know. Maybe I should have a whole portfolio of Pathologic just complete and sitting on the shelf for people to watch and peruse as they so desire. But at the same time, it's hard to say. I think I'll wait and see on that one. I definitely like to do Changeling at some stage. I'll be taking those. What do you have? Any food? Nope. Such good music, isn't it? Well, I love the main menu music. I really just wish it didn't blare at you from the pause menu. Like, I'm not knocking the actual music. Like, it sounds great. I just feel like there are better places for it than the pause menu. Hard to crystallize those thoughts, but I do wish they'd pick something more subdued for the pause menu than just the Gregorian choir, you know? Well, that's a little unfair. Stupid rat. Okay. Okay, so now we're infected again. I guess, given the day that we've had, it's really unavoidable. No sense trying to avoid it now. So it's looking like it's the Knots one, right? Judging by what he's told us, or what we've been told by both of them so far. Little boy skipping through the bloodied plague curtains. Yeah, I'll just scare him away with my knife. Go back home, boy. This is not a place for playing. Okay. Homeward stretch. Then we can hit the hay. So yep, definitely the Knots one. Hi, it's me, the Bachelor. No reaction. Hello again. For the 6th or 7th time. You're a lot faster getting around town than I am somehow.
I am not your enemy. We'll strike an alliance against a common foe, and justice will prevail.
Thought that Kaminsky Orf was coming. Are you disappointed? No, we were expecting a Punisher and instead an Angel descended? No, personally for you at best. My disposition is fearsome, which you have ample opportunity to observe. Not to dispel, but I'm positive, and this is what makes me different from Kaminsky. They can get the body count to a necessary minimum. Comes the line of work, I suppose. Well, okay. Is this one of those situations where Pathologic said I could do things one way, but then was like, no, you have to do them this way? I fear that it might be. We'll see. I got about another half an hour left of streaming energy left in me anyway, so let's do this. I'll just see if I can approach him. I'll probably take that off and just put a curtain on instead. Close. Hello. One of you always tells the truth and other always lies. Yeah, so he tells the truth, so we need to go and see him. It is that YouTube man. Hello, welcome. Just I've just picked this game up for the first time in 5 months. So I'm coming back to finish this playthrough. It's been a long time coming. I'm hoping, to obviously finish this year and then kick off some more stuff later on. Not just Pathologic related, but we're churning through. So I'm just doing the Bachelor's Day 7 quest, and just remembering how infuriating sometimes Pathologic's internal quest chain logic can be. Because I hadn't replayed Bachelor up to this stage for a while yet. I normally only replay the first couple of days of the Bachelor, if I ever do. And this is the point where we're going around accusing people of being traitors. And I already weaseled out the traitor by putting on a disguise. More infection, whoopee. I already weaseled him out, but I have to go up to him and point the finger directly at him. And it seems that everyone is pointing me towards this guy at the back of the theater here. I believe it is always the same one. I don't think it's randomized in that way. You're the traitor. You're coming with me. Got him. So I think, as far as I can remember, it's always the one in the knots. Is Aglia's got a force push there. I really would be curious to know if it was randomized, but I'm 99% certain it's not.
There's little time left, and I still need to do so much.
I'm listening. Why was the punishment so quick? An unfortunate accident. I'm truly sorry that everything turned as it did. I was going to question the honourable executor thoroughly tonight. Or perhaps the poor sap saw it coming, so he jumped of his own free will. What do you think? I think poking my nose into this was a mistake. And then this is where we start getting this really wonderful zoomed out map where we start to see the truth of the town. And I remember the first time I played this, it was really wonderful seeing the pictures start to come together in a really obvious visual way, but still really clever. It was a really good way for everything to cohere. I remember working out this quest, though I didn't know there was a more surefire way of doing it with the disguises. Yeah, so if you do all the side quests, so if you save Peter from being the cremation man, and you go and loot the graveyard, then you can grab the executor outfit and disguise yourself as one of them and just basically question, just say like, oh, I'm such and such. And then if you say that you're from the traders area, the other one of them will just straight up be like, you bastard, how could you? And the other one will be like, oh, this really doesn't, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking to you. Yeah. I think I also did pen and paper the first time as well. And that's, I really like cracking out the pen and paper, Um, it adds something to a game experience when you're cracking out pen and paper. It's like, yeah, it's like playing D&D or something. Yeah, I don't think they spell it out unless you look really carefully in the today's quest journal. So they say, if only I could pass for one of them, it would be easy to unveil the traitor. They know which one of them is, and then if you open your letters, you get one from Artemy saying, can you give me a suit? And that's basically, I think those are your two hints that, oh, there's a suit available today, and you can use that suit to make your quest easier. Yeah, handy stuff. Okay, is there anything else I actually can do today? I feel like, yeah, I think I've done all the quests for today. I can't remember if you can drop the suit off to Artemy or not. I might go see if I can. Might be interesting. I don't think I've tried that before. Yeah, so hopefully I get the opportunity to play through the second game this year also, and analyze it on stream as well. Because I think what'll be a really interesting point of difference is the visual style of each game. This one really does approach the concept of the town in a different way, and not just because of the architecture available at the time in terms of like graphics and engines, etc. Because they made this one on their own custom engine, as far as I remember. So which gives the whole game a really, I don't want to say, trying to think of the right word. It gives the whole game a really solid, built from the ground up feel. Like everything has these really earthy tones. The town sort of gives the impression that it is being really swallowed up by the steppe around it. Whereas in the other game, when you're in the steppe and when you're in the town, those are two very, very different color palettes. Whereas that's sort of all around in the steppe, it's the same kind of browns and really earthy greens and that kind of thing. If there is any green, sort of barely any sparkles of green, maybe mainly just yellows and oranges, and that gives the game a really distinct look. And I'm hoping to, when I play Pathologic 2 on stream, to dig down into the reasoning and the logic behind that. Coffee. That'll be healthy for me. Can of vegetables and some coffee. Classic diet. And I can't remember if the Bachelor can sleep in Artemy's room or not. Thank you for the follow, Windshield. Means a lot. I'm climbing my way towards affiliate. So we'll see whether there even is an option, because the letter does seem to prescribe that there would be an option for that, but I've already run into one little logic road bump today where you can't accuse them unless you've taken off your costume, which is slightly disappointing, but to be expected, I suppose. There's only so much choice developers can put in, especially in a game that wasn't necessarily built around that kind of concept anyway, of foreseeing every possible action that the player will take. I get the sense, and especially for a small team, I get the sense that kind of thing is better left for larger studios. Yeah, quest triggers are also wonky. I do agree. This sort of really funny. Yeah, some of them, I find it curious how sometimes you'll get pop-ups on the map, and sometimes you'll get stuff in here, but most of the time you have to like hop into your letters and read them. And I remember never being told how to use or open letters until like halfway through my first playthrough, and I was like, oh, oh crap, I've missed out on a lot of stuff. And I mean that's part of the learning experience, but I wish it was a little more intuitive, which I think is what Pathologic 2, where its main improvements come from, is just simply being more intuitive, right? Like the letters, they're really good and they're well written, but they're streamlined in the second game to sort of you approach it from a different angle. Whereas you've got these messengers who are straight up telling you to your face, instead of these letters that sort of inexplicably are ferried around town by like invisible couriers. The world in that way feels a little bit more immersive, but at the same time, you do feel like you miss out on some stuff when the letters go away, which is a shame. Like I liked the letters and the insight into the mind of the person who was writing them, as well as their ability to expand the scope of the world beyond just the town. You really got some stuff about the powers that be out of the letters. My Bachelor playthrough, I found it really easy to gamify and break the economy and just get a bunch of lemons, allowing to never sleep. And get started on the next days further and further break the economy, but finishing some quests early messes up some triggers for side quests. Yeah, there's seems to be like a natural expectation like clued into the game, but I don't think I've ever broken it in that way. I think I've always played it roughly in the rhythm. Like I mean, I've broken the game. I mean, I don't doubt that. Like I got 30,000 coins. Like that's. I don't think the developers actually intended for me to have this amount of money at this point. But I can't say I've broken the game to that point where quests wouldn't function. So like you just weren't getting, like nothing would pop up, or just like you weren't receiving letters. What exactly was happening? Yeah, I also guess we can't deliver anything. I guess we'll just go sleep at Aspedy's place. She'll probably smother me in my sleep. The quest about tracking down Clara. Yeah, that so I don't know if I have archived stream VODs on my YouTube channel, and I don't know if you've watched those, but in one of them, I was really quite frustrated with the way that quest was presented. In hindsight, I didn't remember it being that bad, but there's sort of a level of intuition that you're expected to take that almost doesn't make any sense. It's probably one of the most frustrating quests. Yeah, find Clara at the suburb at Katerina's place, but there'd be no dialogue because the game wasn't prepared for me to be at that point for it. Yeah, I can see how that would be intensely frustrating. That's a big shame. Shibnak, stupid thing by the tunnel that just didn't spawn for me. I think I may have also had a similar problem with the Shabnak refusing to spawn. Yeah, but I don't. I don't. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that quest on stream. I think I didn't bother with it. But no, that's interesting. That the game can be so thoroughly broken, because I mean, I like to think I test the boundaries of how games should be played. I like to replay games and sort of play them, on the like pushing up against the boundaries. But I don't think I ever sped through the game by thoroughly breaking the economy like that. I guess probably for me, I still like a little bit of immersion and role playing. So judging by what happened to your game, I'm glad that I didn't try that, at least on stream, because it would have broken a lot. Let's just go to sleep. Yay, day 7 complete. On to day 8.
The day is over. Your timely efforts allowed your supporters to remain unharmed. A new mime performance is being rehearsed at the theater.
Yeah, I do think it's curious the effect that this game has uh, in regards to, like, it can be so immersive. I think it's even more harmful for games that are really immersive to be damaged in integrity like that. When all of a sudden quests don't work and you see things or you don't see things that aren't there, etc., etc. You really are losing. You're losing something really integral to the experience. You're losing that immersion factor, and it's that immersion factor that elevates these kinds of games. Because without an immersion in the town, I presume I wouldn't have proceeded uh, with so many playthroughs of it, right? But it's a really tricky thing, because how do you hook someone instantly, and what hooks one person might not hook another. Uh, but when you have those kinds of really awful glitches, uh, they do even more damage than in a game that was just already kind of a bit crummy. You're more willing to overlook them. But when something breaks your immersion in a game like this one, all of a sudden it really sticks out. And I mean, it's obviously really hard for developers to balance that at all. You can't really squash every bug, but you try and get rid of them. And I mean, that seemed to be people's complaints regarding Cyberpunk. I think was sort of it presented this really wonderfully immersive world, but then it just didn't follow through because it had so many visual bugs. Nearly a year to get through the Bachelor route. Yeah. So have you played two? Were you someone who played two first and then came back to Classic HD, or did you play Classic first and then you just sort of struggled through that? Because that's an experience that interests me, because I played Classic HD first, obviously, and fell in love with that first. So maybe I see things with rose tinted glasses sometimes, but I like to think I'm willing to push through that kind of
I
thing.
know how celestial bodies work. I know the logic of numbers.
Yes, Mom.
Solid bodies drown in water. It's a law. Life breaks into particles and is reborn again. It is a law.
Do you see now how many mysteries the Earth holds?
Post H bomber video, people. I'm going to respond to that properly in a minute. I'm just going to let this theater play.
And the fewer wells can reach them.
You can trick anyone but me, the emissary of the powers that be. I know how this world had been built. I know how its life works. I know the laws it operates under. It's supposed to be very simple. And
Tattoo. Very, very nice.
True, Mom. That's what it's supposed to be.
True, ma'am. That is what it's supposed to be.
So let it be. It's not the end of the world. It's just an epidemic. It's gone out of proportion. The law will prevail. I'll restore the balance. Not all is lost. I know where the root of this evil lies.
Okay, so hang on, just pause the time by chatting to Mark here. So you say,
The foreman has hooves for feet. Someone who saw it told me he does.
like Pathologic 1, fine. Characters and story unfolding is great. A lot of the characters interweave and interact with each other, something I haven't seen anywhere else. But the game is really easy and really jank. I don't mind the walking. The walking is all vibes. and the vibes are great. Basically, Harry Bomberman lied. Yeah. So yeah, the point I was going to bring up, but you've sort of already, I think, established my point, is that I love the H Bomber Guy video. It's a really fun video. But I think it does the game itself a huge disservice right at the end when it says don't play this, just play the second one. And I found that really crushing, honestly, because this is still a game with a lot to offer. As you say, like the three routes are really densely layered. The way the game presents itself is really cool. Um, Really easy and really jank. Like I will concede to you both of those points. When you know what you're doing, it's really easy, especially if you're coming from Pathologic 2. Um, the rhythms the rhythms are easier to settle into. It doesn't throw any huge curveballs at you like the second game does. And yes, it definitely has a lot more rough edges. But there's also something to be said for rough edges. A lot of people, I think, a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I do like this game's real sense of it feels really raw. Um, that just these characters sort of just leap off the screen, and while I do like the characters a little bit better in the second one, I think they're a bit more concisely written and tightly presented. Classic HD still has a lot to offer from a lot of these characters, and I think, yeah, I don't know. You seem to agree with me that that final, yeah, right, like that final message, I thought was, you sort of burning. He burned some bridges. I think the the original game, it really does have a lot to offer, like a gameplay rhythm all to itself. It's not as good, granted, as the second one, and I can see why people are like start with the second one these days, because I think that's what I'd recommend to people as well, even if I love this original game. But I think just to say never, just flat out never go back and see the original one, um, that does a real disservice to the legacy of this game and the importance that it has towards, like, the writing of this game was sort of really ahead of its time. Don't think it says never play this game. I mean, it has been a while since I watched the video, but the thing, he sort of papered over it. I felt he papered over it, but yeah, talking towards the general, yeah, that's true. I guess it's just I like to think that this game is still in some way like accessible and worth playing even to the general gaming audience. But then again, like I am like a freak, so uh, who's played this game for like well over 200 hours. Um, so like I'm obviously, I seem to be an exception to the rule, but I still would recommend this to a lot of people, just because because I think of the way Persona 2 has a lot more meat to bite into gameplay wise. Yes, so I think that is the big draw, right? People come to Pathologic 2 for the gameplay, and they stay for the story. But I guess maybe this is like those nostalgic rose tinted glasses, but I remember Pathologic, the original game, was the one that expanded my mind. Like I was saying earlier in the stream that um, this game is all about like fighting back against traditional ideas of power fantasy, and the ways in which it subverts your expectations are so fiendishly clever, and also presented in different ways than the same kinds of subversions in the second game as well. Like there's still potential for this game to expand people's horizons, and there's still inspiration to be taken from this original experience, not just from the second one. I think that's why I stick so doggedly to it. Is that this was the game that broadened my own horizons, and I feel like it has the potential to do the same to future generations as well. But I totally understand why people prefer Pathologic 2. I love Pathologic 2. Some days I probably do prefer it to this one. And there are a lot of points where it's just like it's flat out just better. But this game still holds meaning, and I think a lot of people miss that. But I get why, because I mean, this is still video games we're talking about, and a lot of people just would refuse to even sit through those lovely vibes that you were just talking about before. I think, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. It's a complicated situation, especially now because not all of Pathologic 2 is released yet in terms of The Bachelor and Changeling Roots. I think when those are released, then we'll be able to really make a solid judgment as to whether Classic HD has any long-lasting legacy. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, what was there was a nod to what? Yes, that's an interesting perspective. I mean, I've seen treating them as separate is interesting. It's been so long. Yes, yeah. So yeah, in some way, I mean, they could function as Pathologic 3, Pathologic 4, but I assume they'd be using the. I mean, it will. Yeah, we know barely anything about what they're doing, so like withhold all judgment until then. But it could still be using the same basic framework as 2, and if so, you could judge it more along 2's lines than Classic's lines. But then again, like we know nothing about it, so um, we can't really say with any definitive certainty what's going to happen beyond the fact that they're bringing back the Bachelor's viewfinder into. Yeah, I did see that. I hope timey-wimey dreamlike. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So it will be interesting. I think I'd even be interested to see whether they subset it as DLC, whether they're like this is just an add-on, or whether they're like we're going to sell this and bundle this as a separate game with a separate style, a separate intent. I think that'll be where things really get interesting. It's just categorization, because Pathologic 2 is already like the 2 confuses a lot of people, and it will be enough content to carry it. I mean, if they released Artemis campaign, as a single game, then I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do something similar, even with a slightly shorter Bachelor's route. Fingers crossed. We can only hope. We can only wait and see what becomes of this project. Yeah, it's been a long time waiting, and I'm not as edge of the seat excited as I once was, but I am still really, really interested. I feel like I've taken a step back from like overwhelming obsession that was definitely there for like 4 or 5 years of my life. But like, I mean, maybe if the Bachelor's one is good enough, it'll just come roaring straight back. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. That's all we can do. We'll see. See who my audience is now. They really applaud. They never call encore, but they also never boo us. And as you can see, we have a full house every night. Yes, the whole ordeal is surreal, but you seem to be unfazed by it. Okay, we'll go by Vlad's map, and then I don't know. I feel like I'm slightly running out of steam. Just because I haven't flexed my streaming muscles in so long, I need to work myself back up to longer streams. I think it seems to be an endurance training kind of thing. Running along the lines of Pathologic 3-4 sort of thing. I do think Clara's one is definitely the one I'm most curious about, simply because the Clara's campaign in this game is woefully patchy and pretty incomplete in terms of having an actual cohesive through line. The side quests, especially, are really bad in this game for Clara. So I do hope, in particular, that one elevates her play experience. Yeah, honestly, right. I don't think Clara will ever come out. It's just it's been so long since The Bachelor, and you sort of start to wonder how long one team can work on one such project for a really hyper niche
Where did those
kind
lazy
of
bastards
game.
go?
Um, I'm curious to see what the rest of Iceberg Lodge's new projects turn out like. Um, I played No by heart. I felt it was, I guess, quaint is the word I would use to describe it. It wasn't quite what I was expecting from them. Yeah, some of the team is gone. Yeah, they definitely are. After Pathologic 2 came out, I think they just had to let a lot of people go, sadly, and a lot of people naturally moved on too. And yes, current events absolutely factoring into that. So I think whatever the Bachelor's campaign turns out like, I think it will totally influence both the presentation of Clara's campaign and, in fact, whether or not we ever see it. Yeah. Right, you undoubtedly have a lot of questions in mind, but they have to wait, except for one, the most pressing and, dare I say, painful concern. We've lost enough time as it is. The crud's not going to wait, is it? And your visit to the termitary, all in all, there's no point in putting it off. The crud? I'll have you know that a certain informer of mine, a trustworthy source despite being a worm, has told me that there's a flow of fake panacea coming out of the termitary. You don't know how tempted I am to say panacea every time. I'll be honest with you, this is encroaching upon my interests, so I'm turning to you for hope. This concerns you as well, after all. And what are your interests? It's all very simple. Panacea will always be in short supply, that much is obvious. My dear friend Barak, the highest authority on this, claims that he'll be able to produce 15 batches at best. I'm interested in seeing them find their way into the right hands. What is that supposed to mean? As soon as the Bound found out about the Panacea, there you go, see, I said it, just automatically. My brain is like, go onion. Or worse yet, get their hands on the flask of that ersatz drug. You've seen them. They're romantics, just waiting for an opportunity to pull off a heroic sacrifice. Obtaining fake panacea would cause them to lose all prudence. They'll take risks, rush headlong into infection hotspots, thinking they have salvation in their pocket. And the salvation won't work. Who would buy unverified panacea? Truth is, the slime balls are backing themselves up with, yes, your own good name. They claim the recipe is yours and even provide some proof of authorship. I don't know exactly what that is, but really, your name is actually proof enough for the general crowd. They're rather naive. And the heart incident has already become common knowledge in certain circles at least. What does that have to do with anything? The heart is required to extract a certain microbial culture sample. Well, in any case, they're procuring live hearts, of which there is no shortage in the termitary now, preparing the potions right in front of their buyers. Imagine the resulting product. I've heard you loud and clear, so you're saying they've set up shop in the termitary, right? My informer said it's one of the rooms in the long block. He hasn't seen it himself. I'll find the low lives, and then I'll return to you, and we're going to have a long and unpleasant conversation. And I want to buy your map.
Have you heard?
That there, that's the really good. You just zoom out, and you're like, shit. The town is structured after a bull, and that's when everything else starts to make sense. That really wonderful series of rock paper shotgun articles by Quentin Smith, I think it was. Um, the Butchering Pathologic series. They were what I think initially got me interested in academic assessments of the series in general. Yeah, I was. Well, it wasn't a series at the time when I read those. It was. I just finished Classic HD, and I just read those, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of depth to be gleaned just from writing about these. And well, that sort of must have subconsciously kick-started something for me somewhere. What's the best way to go? Up this way, I think. I'm going to avoid the clouds of disease. But yeah, I still remember, it's a bit of a sore point, isn't it, in the Pathologic community? It felt like a betrayal when Rock, Paper, Shotgun reviewed it in a subpar fashion, reviewed the second one in a subpar fashion after their wonderfully effusive and evocative article from Quentin Smith, those butchering Pathologic ones, that sort of spread the game's notoriety among a small, like, what was a very small Western community at the time. But it really did strengthen the fan base there, and it was a lot of people's introduction to it. And that review from Rock, Paper, Shotgun that everyone was expecting to be a more positive one, I think that crushed a lot of people, made a lot of people quite angry with the presentation of how the game was received, because it was one of the few outlets that even covered it. I think I don't recall many other major outlets bothering to review Pathologic 2, and certainly even less bothered to review the original game, I think. The biggest review I remember of the original was those Rock, Paper, Shotgun ones and the Eurogamers one, which described it as Oblivion with cancer, which I think was a pretty good description for the time, really. That it was this open world immersive game, but it was about dying rather than living. It was about powerlessness rather than a power fantasy. Yeah, Oblivion. That's a game I'd like to get stuck into as well in a video essay or something. But I know it's one of those games. The problem with making video essays these days is that a lot of the games that can be covered are ones that are covered to death. They're covered to death as well in particular ways. Like, everyone approaches Oblivion from the same angle, and everyone approaches Silent Hill from the same angle. And I guess my goal as a video essayist in future is to bust open some of those ideas. Is to try and look at these games from different perspectives rather than just like I don't know how many videos on Silent Hill 2 I've seen that are like, Silent Hill 2 changed my life, Silent Hill 2 haunts my dreams, whatever. And it's like, of course Silent Hill 2 does that to everybody, I don't know. I want my videos to be slightly more profound than some of what I see. I don't want them to end up generic, and that's hard to do. And I respect that the people who do put out their own videos as well, they work really hard on them. So that's not to disparage anyone who makes a Silent Hill 2 Changed My Life video, because those are important documents in one's own life. My personal aim is to find new avenues of approach with, looking through different critical lenses, whatever those might be. But we'll see how it turns out. Because I hope so far, yes, my two video essays on Silent Hill 2 and my historical approaches, almost biographical approaches to pathologic character analysis, sort of is bearing fruit, and that people are enjoying those approaches. I think adding more research and historical context to the ideas that are being presented in the game can only really be a good thing. And I hope that I do some of those ideas and belief systems justice, etc. So this is the Cemetery. I remember this in particular. This feels like a really disturbing map from some multiplayer shooter, some forgotten multiplayer shooter. I don't know why. I think maybe it's the color palette. Is it the walkways over the middle? I don't know. It's just like some industrial like facility from like one of the painkiller games or something, you know. Okay, I think these are the guys who are like killing people. Yeah, this isn't good. Peace to you, Oinon. Peace to you. Live and let live, so say the wise. Don't try to sweet talk me, Morlock. Okay, that didn't do anything. Here are you can of worms, so can I place an order? You're more than welcome. We're not asking much, merely 30,000. But for you, Oinon, it's free. Dead gruel never better. All the rot comes out, all the evil hexes come off. Oh, yes, my good man. See, merely 30,000, he's sure not underselling. Hey, Oinon, have mercy, let us be. Won't be selling anything anymore, won't gruel. You let us live, you don't turn us into the mother. We tell you an interesting something then. You'll be pleased. Speak, I'm not going to touch you. Word. We're guilty. The booster's son is twice as guilty. We just fool around and mess about. He's buying up the real panacea. Bought it from everyone. He got one from Burak. Took from everyone, has it for himself. Shoot him, Moinon. Threaten him, rob him. Take his panacea for yourself. Thank us. Where did he get real panacea? Only Burak can make panacea, and only Burak knows the lines. Burak gave his vase to Bodo's children. Gave to the Boos. The Booster's son took it all to sell to evil people, to bloodsuckers, for iron and gold. Have mercy on us, Oinon. Let us go never again, until the earth takes us back. Fine. I'll tell the mother about this room, though. You have half an hour to get lost for good. I should wrap up soon. I'm feeling the fatigue, feeling my body tell me to start to wind down. We'll go see Tyre first, and then I'll save it there, and we can continue from there next week. This is a really cool room as well. Never understood how these fires didn't, destroy the rafters or whatever, or fill this room up with smoke. But I really respect just like this evocative look that the room is going for. It's a real honesty, respect for authority. Hello.
What is this? What's going on? Who was screaming?
You've got a stain on your nose. Tyre, I want the abattoir passage to be unlocked immediately. Passage closed. It's forbidden to go there today. What about tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow? Maybe even this night? What does it depend on? Depend? What do you mean? Why is it forbidden now but will be allowed at night? What do you mean, why? Because I feel that way. And what exactly do you feel? It's not to be talked about. Go away. You've asked many questions already. Alright, I'm leaving. Fine then.
I've got almost no toys left.
The stain on your nose. Wanted to have a little chat with you. Please tell your servants to relax. They're not servants. They keep me out of harm's way. Fine. Were you here when the epidemic broke out? Epidemic? When people got sick and began to die. Of course I was here. If not for me, everyone who's upstairs would also be sick and dead. I was here, so there wasn't a Mother Superior in the other building. That's why everyone's dead there. Are the people upstairs alive? When we knock on the ceiling, they say that they're about to come down and make us all regret this. Regret what, exactly? I don't know, but it's terribly scary. They're very, very angry with us. They want to get back at us. Let them stay where they are. Why are they angry? Because we didn't feed them. But they locked themselves away on purpose. We didn't make them. It's their own fault, not mine. Definitely not yours. Cool. So I'm thinking I'll wrap up here today. Thanks for stopping by and watching. I hope you have a good day ahead. Hopefully next week, similar time, I will continue this odyssey towards finishing Pathologic Bachelor route. But for now, stay safe. See you around. Cheers.